I was asked yet again the other day, "Are you alright, mate?" And at this point, I am really getting paranoid about the way I am presenting myself to other people. Because this happens pretty fucking consistently. Now, it's not every day and it's not every week. But it's a few times a month at the very least. I don't know whether it looks like I want to kill someone or I want to kill myself. But apparently, the way I move, the way I look, whatever it is a cause for concern. And it's starting to annoy well, it is annoying the shit out of me at this point. Now, I have been told that the way I walk is robotic. I've also been told that the way I walk is like marching. I am focused. Dead ahead. My focus is dead ahead. I'm focusing on the horizon. I will look straight through people. Now, I will not notice somebody who I actually know walk right past me unless they address me. At which point, it's like being woken up by being submerged in water. I will snap, basically. My focus will go, I'll jump a little bit in surprise, and my entire facial expression will change to something more warm. But when I'm focused on where the fuck I'm going, I'm focused. And I think that focus is probably pretty fucking intense. Now, I've talked about INFJ stuff before. And I'm on this website, this social media called Quotra or something like that. There's an INFJ section. And there's a specific series of posts that I've been following for a few months now of people taking selfies of themselves and uploading them. And the single most consistent thing that is in nearly all of these selfies are the same eyes that I have in mine. They look tired. They look like the entire weight of the world is in those eyes, or are in those eyes, right? They look like they've experienced some shit. And it doesn't matter what I do, I cannot get rid of them in selfies where they look like they have more life. Because, great example, the profile picture I had recently where I'm wearing the Huel t-shirt and I've took it on this new phone in the park. I was happy and chill and content at that time. I look like I'm about to burst into tears. Like, that's just my facial expression. I can't force these really happy fucking, fucking facial expressions and shit like that. When I take a selfie, I try and look warm, but I never do. And when I'm focused and I'm focused on something, I'm not focused on shoving on the social expectations. I'm not focused on masking, as the artistic community tends to call it. I'm focused on what the fuck's in my head, what I'm thinking about, and where I need to go, what I need to do. I'm entirely in here. Now, this is not to say that I'm oblivious to the world around me, but I see patterns and shapes more than I see detail. What I mean by that is, if there's a threat coming, I'm going to notice. I'm not going to be taken off guard. But at the same time, if there's somebody I know approaching me, I won't know it's them until they address me and my attention snaps from my head to them, at which point it kind of feels like being woken up by having water thrown on you. So after a brief moment of, oh, hey, I will warm up, my facial expression will warm up, a bit will brighten, and I will have a conversation with that person. But outside of that, I'm in my head. I'm focused on what I need to be doing, where I need to be going. And I'm far more intense looking. Now, if you look into the INFJ stuff, it's one of the more consistent things that gets brought up, to the point where they actually use, in terms of media representation, they use a lot of kind of not very nice characters, psychopathic characters, extreme narcissistic characters, which is weird. And you'll often find, actually, that a lot of the write-ups for INFJs are not written by INFJs, and they kind of get everything wrong. They typically get the INFJ based on what it does, rather than the INFJ experience. They get the outer, what other people experience from the INFJ, rather than the inner, what the INFJ's experience actually is. There's very few write-ups of INFJ where I've read and think this is spot on. I think the closest is the Personality Hackers one that I've read. That one's very, very good. I almost got emotional reading that shit. But one of the more consistent things is the intense facial expression. INFJs will look at you with intensity. Like serious fucking intensity, and that is just them listening, because they're not just listening to your words, they are taking everything in to the point where they may even not realize they're doing it. And one thing about being an artistic person and being part of this online INFJ community is I'm starting to realize the correlations. INFJs are statistically the rarest personality type. And I'm starting to get the feeling I know why. This could be complete bullshit, but I think INFJ types are people of either a lot of, this word gets abused, but a lot of trauma in their childhood, or a mental condition, or like autism or something like that in their childhood, that have developed pretty substantial emotional intelligence. The ability to read people, right? Now, autistic people tend to have a blind spot when it comes to that kind of thing. I don't. Again, recently, I was in that walk that I think I've already mentioned. If not, well, that's where I was asked, "Are you all right, mate?" I was just some random guy passing as I was walking up to it. And on one of these walks a few weeks ago, I was talking to a guy, and right from the get-go, I could tell he wasn't right. Something on his mind. From his tone of voice, the way he held himself, I can't quite explain it. But right from the get-go, I could tell. And as we're walking, I eventually brought it up. It's like, you seem like, you know, you've got a lot on your mind. But you seem kind of out of it. And he was shocked by how I could pick that up. He's been dealing with a lot of chavvy bastards around where he lives, basically. Dickheads. Shitheads. And it's playing on him. Probably what's happened is, as he's left, he's dealt with them again, and that mood is carried with him up until the walk. And I've picked up on it instantly. Yeah, he even said, like, I have no idea how you picked that up. Like, I have no idea how you realized that, you knew that. I think you say knew that. I can't remember, but it doesn't really matter. Autistic people tend to have blind spots when it comes to that kind of thing. I don't. And I think I still have them, but I'm also very good at picking shit up. Now, I'm never gonna just outwardly say it all the time. In fact, most of the time, I'm just gonna keep it to myself. Either I don't know what to add that will make it better, or I think probably silence is the best answer, or I might just make it worse. But a lot of the time, I'm going to pick shit up. I'm not always going to say that I'm picking shit up. Most of the time, I'm not, but a lot of the time, I'm picking shit up. And this has been a consistent thing for a long time. Being told that I'm easy to talk to has been a consistent thing for a long time. And these are all INFJ traits. But there's also a lot of INFJ traits that are, quite frankly, extremely similar to the kind of traits autistic people have. Hyper-focus in certain areas, the absolute need to be on their fucking own to recharge, which is an introverted thing as well, but it's like they seem to need it more than most, because social interaction is such a draining thing for them. And it's not just because, well, it's for similar reasons. They're processing so much around them that it is very draining. And for autistic people, it might be a similar experience than it is for the average INFJ. So there's part of me that thinks INFJs are possibly on the spectrum, but I've also developed, which is not as common as basic neurotypical types, but I've also developed emotional intelligence, which is also not common for neurodivergent types. So they're in this weird fucking middle ground of not very common things. Yeah, anyway. Tangent. Speaking of artistic things. Speaking of INFJ things. But it's really been interesting being part of this for so long and really noticing the similarities. Maybe I'm talking complete bullshit. I don't know. Maybe I'm just projecting my own experiences too much and not realizing that of other people. But from just listening to other people, there are so many correlations between the high functioning. I know people don't like that term anymore, but the problem with that is, with autism and communication, we're hearing a lot of terms that we can't use, and we're not getting terms that we can use. So until we get recognized terms that we can use, I'm going to use the ones that we apparently can't use, like high and low functioning. I understand the reasoning behind it. I've bitched about the reasoning behind it, but what else am I using? People know what I mean when I say high functioning. The experience of at least the high functioning autist is very similar to, or has a lot of crossovers with the experience to the typical INFJ. And it's been very, very interesting looking into this kind of thing. And noticing patterns and so on and so forth. So, yeah. I'm also still looking into enneagrams. I'm still not sure whether I'm a type 9 or a type 5. The fact that I am not confident on talking about it in great detail unless I know all the details, like basically get as much information as possible, is extremely type 5. But I also have a lot of type 9 traits, so it's hard to tell. I've got a book I've yet to get around to reading. I'm probably going to take it away from me sometime this year whenever I go away. I'm probably going to go away at some point. Who knows? But, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I'm tired of hearing that. Are you alright, mate? Now, I suppose it's a good thing, because if it's concern, then there's a lot of people around here that show legitimate empathy towards other people. But if it's concern that I might kill someone, that could be dangerous around the wrong person. But I don't know. I'd love to see what my face is actually like, because I can't replicate it. I can't replicate consciously being inside my head and being focused on my destination. I can't just replicate it. I can't just copy it. I'm not a fucking actor, you know. So I don't know what it looks like, but apparently it's fucking intense, to the point where it has people worried for some reason. So, yeah, fun.